Welcome to the Geeks Attic. This is a book review of They Never Came Home. They Never Came Home, a psychological suspense thriller written by Lois Duncan. It was written in 1969. A friend of mine sent this out. Thank you, Casey. He challenged me to read and review this book, so I did. So if you have read this book, They Never Came Home, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on the book. Now, before I get into my overall thoughts, here is a brief summary. By the way, this is a spoiler-free review. Two high school-aged boys are missing after going on a camping trip, Larry Dreyfuss and Dan Cotwell. The search goes on for many, many days before being called off. One article belonging to Dan was found, leading search and rescuers to believe that the boys were washed away by the river. Larry was kind of a troubled young man. He never really got along with his sister or his parents. He got himself into trouble, went to a party that he shouldn't have gone to. It turned out to be like a drug bust sort of a deal. His parents are going to send him off to a military school, but before he has to go do that, his parents agreed to let him go on a camping trip with his friend Dan Cotwell. Now, Dan Cotwell gets invited to go with Larry to this camping trip, but they're not really friends. Dan is Joan's boyfriend, which is Larry's sister. Once the boys go missing, Joan struggles with the loss of her brother and her boyfriend. She's sitting at home one day when the phone rings. She answers it, and a man on the other line says that Larry owed him a lot of money. This caller believes that Larry's not dead, he's just hiding with the money. Joan's parents are not doing well. Her father has a weak heart, her mother is psychologically having some issues, she's not doing well after the loss of her son, so she keeps it a secret. She doesn't want to set them over the edge, she thinks that they'll croak. She does tell Dan's younger brother, Elliot. They became friends after this whole ordeal, which is nice. Not a relationship sort of a couple, just friends. But Larry, he had gotten himself into some trouble, and now Joan has offered to pay off his debt. The job is shady and highly illegal. Do the bodies of Dan and Larry ever get found? Did Larry take the money and run? You need to read this book to find out. And now for my overall thoughts. They Never Came Home by Lois Duncan is a fantastic book. I loved every bit of it, mostly. Almost. Not a dull moment. It's a very short book. It's around 180 pages, but I enjoyed the writing style. I liked the character development. I thought Joan was the best part of the book, though she didn't have to sacrifice her time and safety to hide her dead brother's secrets. She did, for the sake of keeping her father and mother from having even worse health issues than they already had. The story was fast-paced and thrilling. I have two complaints with this book. The first one is the big twist. I thought it was too obvious, it was too upfront. I think the author could have done a little bit better at disguising some of the elements to lead us into a more grandiose reveal. And the second is the ending was just abrupt. And the way it ended was on this massive emotional cliffhanger. Something extreme happens, okay? And it just ends. That was it. There's so much more that could have been written to bring us some closure. We didn't get that. But those are the only two things that I had to complain about. I liked what I read, and I would love to check out some more of Lois Duncan's novels. For the rating, I will give They Never Came Home a B+. If you've read this book, I would love to know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a good one.